and Sunday clean, altar draped in red, sun on the stained glass and flies in the bread. Mama in the back pew, hands like folded flame. She saw his smirk too long, she knew that kind of shame. He wore a holy smile, like it made him pure, but no one even knew his sin was so impure. Saints and sinners here, all in one small room, but evil learns our names, then it thinks it can bloom. Not in our house, not in our house. We see you now, we speak out loud. Not in our house, not in our house, not in our house. Evil won't slide, evil won't slide, evil won't slide, no evil slide, no evil slide. The word went home to home, like fire through dry grass. Parents at the local store, talking fast, talking fast. The elders bowed their heads, but the children held their ground. We heard the bruised up truth, moving from mouth to mouth. A choir in the hallway, sang loud in the line, calling on God, kept waiting for a sign. Saints and sinners here, still the bell rings on, but fear cannot baptize what the daylight has shown. Not in our house, not in our house, not in our house, not in our house. We see you now, we see you now. We speak out loud. Not in our house, not in our house, not in our house, not in our house. Evil won't slide, evil won't slide, evil won't slide, no evil slide, no evil slide. Break the hush, break the chain. Whoa, call the names, stop the pain. Whoa, we won't kneel to a mask and a lie. The sanctuary burns, but the truth won't die. Not in our house, not in our house, not in our house, not in our house. We see you now, we speak out loud. We speak out loud. Not in our house, we speak out loud. Not in our house, not in our house. Evil won't slide, evil won't slide, evil won't slide, no evil slide, no evil slide. Not in our house, not in our house. Saints rise up, sinners fall back, sinners fall back. Yeah, no evil slide.
We know every face on this road, every truck that rolls by slow. If a stranger lingers by the road, we make sure that everyone knows.
Kids on bikes in the afternoon, kicking dust in the county sun. We don't let fear make rules here. We stand up quick, we don't run.
If it feels wrong, say it out loud. Don't wait while the daylight fades.
One quick call can change it now. Tell someone, keep them safe.
If you see it, say it. If you see it, say it. Our children come first, come first. If you see it, say it. Call right now, time's wasting. Report it right now, right now.
Front porch talk and a screen door creak. Mama's voice cuts through the yard. We watch that park, that school, that church. Every neighbor plays their part.
I stay open, ears stay sharp. When a shadow moves too close, a community that looks away is the one that hurts the most. If it feels wrong, say it out loud. Don't wait while the daylight fades.
One quick call can change it now. Keep them safe, no time to play.
If you see it, say it. If you see it, say it. Our children come first, come
We won't hand them one more child.
When evil lurks at our doors,
We refuse to take any more.
if you see it, say it. If you see it, say it.
Our children come first, come first.
If you see it, say it. Call right now, time's wasting. Report it right now, right now.
Hey, everybody. My name is the OG Duchess, and this is the Dutch Girl Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I've got a new camera because mine broke, so we're going to try this out. Give me 1 second. I've been over here fiddling with some things and just want to make sure that I've got everything that I needed in line. So, hey, I'm back. My camera actually works. And thanks to the Duke, he got me all hooked up and I got some better lights. So you guys let me know in the chat. Can you guys hear me okay? Does my sound, let me tilt my microphone. Maybe that'll be better. How's everybody doing? I've missed you guys. I've been busy taking care of my mom and I've been watching this case unfold just south of me in Pawleys Island, South Carolina. And so I just wanted to come on and walk this case back, talk about what happened, how it's affecting my community, and bring you all of the details. We're going to break it down in a 3-part series. And I just appreciate you guys joining me. I have a free week. So I want to try to get all of this in. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 p.m. And we decided to leave an extra day because people that watch it on the replay, they might say, hey, this is something that we're interested in seeing these lawsuits. We're going to read through all 4 lawsuits. I think it's going to be really interesting. So thank you, Doodlebug. I appreciate that. Hey, Lindsay, it's so good to see you. Hey, Chevy Investigates. Hey, Duke. Hey, Michelle. It's so good to see all y'all. Rubber Ramada. We got Rubber Ramada in the house. I appreciate y'all being here. Hey, Aries. I hope you're doing good. Appreciate y'all joining me. So I just wanted to make sure you guys could hear me, that you guys can see me, and all is good. Hey, Mystery, it's good to see you. Hope everybody's been doing well. I just been trying to stay out of the stuff that's happening because I don't have any energy to give to it. So we're going to talk about stuff that actually matters in this community, and that's crime, corruption, and missing person cases. And so that's why this series, we're going to redirect what we do here on this channel because we're not going to engage in all of this. Hey, Twisty, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Appreciate you joining us. So how I really want to start this is just by saying, again, my channel is Dutch Girl Podcast. If you are a member here, memberships have been paused because YouTube bots, I guess, decided that I restream other people's content, which everyone who participates, is a subscriber, a member, a moderator, knows that on my channel that I do share news articles for educational purposes about these cases. And I always share the links in my description, my mods, or I share them in the chat. And we talk about those in order to show sources of where we are getting our factual information from. And I did demonstrate to YouTube, but they are going to pause my memberships until September, which is no big deal because I didn't come here for the money. I came here to raise awareness for people in the community that I live in, as well as in North and South Carolina, because that's where I'm from. That's where I'm most familiar. So, and again, like I said, tonight we begin this brand new 3-part series. And it's an investigative series, basically, that I've been doing all of this homework, Michelle and I, And it's called Saints and Sinners, Sanctuary Under Scrutiny. And this involves the Pawleys Island Community Church case, which is out of Georgetown County. That is just one county south of me. It's probably less than an hour from my house. And they have been protesting out there every weekend. In fact, on Sunday, the church was pretty empty. There wasn't anybody there. So that says a lot. And this story has really shaken our local community, and it has raised difficult questions about trust, accountability, and the responsibility to protect children. And thus, the songs that I had for my introduction tonight, I felt like those were really important songs, because if you see something, say something. You know, we're burning daylight out here. Don't keep secrets because you're not protecting anyone. In fact, you're hurting the victims. So if something doesn't seem right, you should always come forward and speak up about that. It's extremely important. We've had people in our own community that have been creators that have been called out for doing predator things. And we have to call it out. We have to speak on it. And it's difficult, but it's better to say the truth, and it's better to shine a light, because we have to protect the kids. We have to protect people that, because it could be just happening to anyone, you know, and if we turn a blind eye, that's a community that hurts. So over these next 3 episodes, we're going to walk through publicly available information. We're going to go through the criminal charges. We're going to talk about these 4 lawsuits. We're going to read through each of those lawsuits, and some of them are pretty lengthy. And we're going to also talk about tonight, we're going to do like a case synopsis. We're going to talk about the timeline and how this actually came to light in the community and what actually happened when that became public knowledge. And as always, we're going to separate documented facts from opinion, cite our sources, and encourage every viewer to do your own research and draw your own conclusions. I want to present all of the factual information and give you the links and tell you exactly where I got all of my information so that you can make your own decisions about that. So before we get started, if you guys could just please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. If you're new, we're so glad that you joined us. If you're watching us on the replay, we appreciate you watching us on the replay. Don't forget to hit the like and share it out, because friends and family and people in our community need to know what's happening, not just here in my community in South Carolina, but all around the United States and the world. It's important that we stand with victims, that we stand with survivors, because this is not okay. And so if you got to grab your snacks, if you've got to get your favorite drink, your notepads, your pens, maybe some of you need a tinfoil hat, because I'm telling you, you're going to need a tinfoil hat and a seatbelt to get through some of this stuff. And for some of y'all, you might even need to bring your holy water. I mean, I don't know. I've got on my cross underneath my shirt because it makes me feel some type of way. So, and, you know, we just appreciate you being here to listen to a local's perspective, because that's basically what my channel is. I'm local in this community, and I talk about a lot of things that are going on in my community because I'm a taxpaying citizen. And some of these crimes and the corruption, missing people, it happens right here where I live in Horry County, South Carolina. So we're just here to shine a light. So welcome to the Dutch bus, and we are going to board the Dutch bus now. So let's clock in and get started. So let me go over here to the chat and see who I have missed. Got to get over here and check this. Got my comments on. I need to get my banner going. Ah, there we go. All right, all right. So how's everybody? That's right. We have to protect the babies. And speaking up is so important. I appreciate you guys just joining me. And the mods are going to be dropping some very important links. I asked them to make sure that they shared awareness in the chat. Some links like RAIN, where people can find support if you are a victim of sexual assault. If you need to reach out for help because you believe that your child is in danger of a predator, internet crimes. I want the mods to be able to drop those links. So, because that's what we do, is when we share awareness, we also want to share the resources where people can get the help for their families. You may know somebody, you may know a friend, you may want to share this out on your social media. So if you see the links, feel free to click on them and save them. And maybe there'll come a time when you are a mod or you're someplace where someone needs one of those links and you can share it out. So we're just here to help each other. And I just appreciate you guys joining us. So Mystery says, true, so many hurt from things in our own communities that we live in offline. That's right. That's exactly right. I appreciate you being here, the 5Ks, and I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. But memberships are paused, so that's why your membership isn't up. So you're not getting charged right now. Hey, Matthew, it's good to see you. I was wondering if you'd been down there and seen where they might be protesting down in Pawleys Island, because I know you're down there doing all you can to protest out there with down for JP Miller and Micah Miller. We appreciate all of Micah's support team, dropping by here and showing us support here, because we definitely support Micah Francis and we want to see justice for her also. Yeah, you might need your hard hats too, Mystery. That's absolutely true. Thank you, Rubber and Michelle, and all the mods that are dropping links. I really appreciate that, because someone might need to pick those up. So, hey, that Ellen, it's good to see you. I just wanted to take a few minutes and say hey to y'all, because I've missed you guys. I haven't been around a lot. I'm just trying to preserve my peace, since I've been taking care of Mom. That is first and foremost in my life. I don't have time for internet drama with people. I got shit to do. Anyway, but my friends know that I have, I speak to my friends all the time. They know if they need me, they know where I am. And it's just I have a lot on my plate right now, but I do want to be able to talk about this case. So jumping in to this case, let's get started. When we talk about this case, and I did make some notes because I want to make sure, because there is a lot of information that we need to cover. So let me pop in over here to my little notepad that I made, because I jotted down some things that I thought were really important to point out. And I kind of went together and I put together a kind of a timeline for us to go over. Because when you have someone that is a registered sex offender that is given permission to volunteer at a local church where there is also a preschool and a child care center, and be around children, it really gives me pause as to what the elders of the church and the pastor and his wife were actually thinking in that moment. Now, not to say that God is not a forgiving person. That is a spiritual relationship between God and the individual. However, we have laws. And in the Bible, it says we are supposed to follow those laws that are set forth in the government, that are to do right. And in my opinion, that is exactly what needs to be upheld. And if you are a person of an authority figure in a church, this gives me great pause as to what they are actually thinking in this moment, that this was not going to be a problematic situation. Now, there was a news article that came out today, and there was a really great video that kind of succinctly tells exactly what's going on. And I want us to be able to watch that together and take some pauses to see if you guys have any questions. And then we're going to go forward. We're going to talk about some of the implications that are involved in a case like this. I mean, there's broader implications, like, of course, the risk to children and the erosion of trust in the community, with the church, with schools, with youth organizations that rely on people's trust. And when leaders are alleged, to have concealed or minimized the risk to their congregation and to parents and teachers who were teaching at the school, families may question whether the organization and these people can be trusted to safeguard children. There's also a duty of care. Organizations that serve children generally have a responsibility to exercise reasonable care in protecting them. And allegations that leaders ignored warning signs and failed to follow the appropriate safeguards, well, that is why we are, at the forefront of a criminal investigation. Hey, Emma Swan, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. Elizabeth L. is in the building, y'all. Elizabeth says, I'm eating green beans I made, so I'm going to listen. Okay, Elizabeth, I'm glad you're here. There's also confidence in the community, because parents may tend to pull back about, where they take their kids, feeling like, well, if somebody that's an authority in a church as a pastor is going to protect a registered sex offender, how many other people are out there in our community doing the very same thing? And I think that is, the cusp of where we are. So we're going to walk through the timeline, exactly how this got reported, why it got reported, and kind of break down the dates, how everything transpired in this case. And then we come back on Wednesday. We're going to talk about the first two lawsuits, the class action and the first John Doe case. We're going to read through those lawsuits, and we're going to talk about the implications, what the allegations are, what that means for the people that are involved, because the class action lawsuit is very different from the individual civil suits that were filed shortly after that first class action lawsuit. So we also need to talk about what the class action lawsuit, what that actually means, and how that differs from these individual civil suits that are going on with the particular John Does in question. So I think that's going to be why we're going to need a couple more live streams, so we have time to talk about that and I can try to answer any questions. Then on Friday, we're going to wrap it up with the last two lawsuits. And I think one of those, Michelle can tell you, because right now I don't have the exact pages, but I think one of those lawsuits is like almost 40 pages. One lawsuit is like 5 pages. So it varies. And I'm telling you, we're talking about, there's prayer for judgments. There's, in the class action, they're asking for $25 million. They're asking for $25 million. So I think this is something huge that we need to talk about. So I appreciate that, Emma Swan. Listen, if you've got me in your ear, just pop in your ear pods or put me on speakerphone. And, sometimes that's what I have to do. But when I have got my hands full and I'm multitasking, I just pop my ear pods in. So a lot of times you guys might not see me in chat, but that doesn't mean that I might not be listening in the bushes. So all of the people that are watching in the bushes because you've got something going on, whether you're cleaning, eating dinner, or multitasking, doing your nighttime thing, or maybe it's daytime where you are and you're busy out running errands, we just appreciate you joining us for these very important conversations, because it's a lot to digest. And Michelle, the more that we went over it, the more I was like, this is so deep. And when I tell you some of the things that we found out, it's going to blow your mind, because I was like, hold on a minute. What? Because this isn't Pastor Williams' first time. in a situation involving law enforcement in his county and something that has to do with crimes against minors. I know that sounds crazy, but I've got the proof. And it just leads me to believe, not saying that these old allegations that didn't have anything directly to do with him, but when we talk about it, you're going to understand why it's important. Because if someone didn't see how important what happened in 2007 was for Pastor Williams, and then you fast forward to where we are today, and you have a registered sex offender that he is letting volunteer at the church where he's a pastor, which, by the way, him and his wife resigned, just so you know. It really, I have a lot of questions, because I have to ask myself, is this a pattern? What else don't we know? Have they obtained digital forensics from everybody's phone that was arrested? So many questions, so many questions. So I want to share this very important video so that we can all kind of have a starting point, and you guys will kind of have like a little overview about what's happened in this case. And then I'm going to break it down in the timeline. We're going to look at some pictures. We're going to watch a couple of clips. I want you to see it for yourself, because the fact that this is even happening here, it literally boils my blood. And I just appreciate you guys joining me. Don't forget to hit the like. All right, so I'm going to go over here and share my screen. How about putting a 5 in the chat and let me know if you have heard about the Pawleys Island Community Church case involving Warren Perry, the RSO, that volunteered at a church for more than 3 years. Put a 5 in the chat and let me know if you have heard about this case. I know the Duke has, because I've talked his ear off about it. Oh, there he is in the chat. I see you, Duke. I have such a great husband, y'all. He always helps me. He's so wonderful. He watches all of my intros and listens to my songs. I'm pretty sure I drive him absolutely crazy, but hopefully he loves me. Anyway. All right, here we go. All right, let me see what we're doing here on StreamYard. You can't say you have, okay? Twisty gave me a 4 with the hands in the air. But it looks like there's a couple of you that have been familiar. If you follow my channel and you watch me post on my community wall, you probably are familiar with it, because I have posted a lot of information about this. And anyone that's in my Discord probably knows about it, because there's a whole room that is set up just for this. And like I said, members is closed right now, so I don't have any members in Discord. I do have a few mods that are in there, and hopefully I won't have to shut it down. I hope that we can get things back rolling in September. So Emma Swan says, honestly, it doesn't surprise me, as many pastors have been accused of heinous crimes against children. It's really sad. There are so many crimes against children that haven't been accountable for. I agree with you, Emma. There's a lot, but you know, God says that what's done in the dark will come to light. And there has been a lot coming to light just in the last few years. It's unbelievable the information that we're able to find out about what's going on in our community via the internet and TikTok, Facebook. I remember when I was a kid, we didn't have a phone. We didn't have the internet. You just had the gossip by the clothesline, or you had to go to the beauty salon to hear what was going on. We didn't have all this. And a lot of people probably got away with a lot of things. You know, it's that hush, don't tell type mentality. And for any of my Gen X people and older, you know, that was a thing back then. A lot of older people, it was, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that kind of thing. It is so important for us to talk about that. The Duke says, question, did the pastor and elders know that this guy was an RSO before they hired him, or did they find out after and allowed him to stay on? Duke, that is a really good question. It looks like that they allowed him to volunteer after he was arrested in 2020, and then he was formally charged in 2023. They brought him in, and they knowingly, were aware of his charges and that he was on the registered sex offender list in Georgetown County, because that arrest actually happened in Heritage Plantation, where Warren Perry resided. And that happened through a reporting to NCMEC and the International Crimes Against Children. And we're going to talk about that as well. So they were fully aware, and apparently the elders back in 2023 were also made aware, and they all voted together. They didn't tell the members of the church, and they didn't tell the teachers in the school. They just kept it among themselves. And another note to add, and I will not name their names, even though that I know their names, of the 12 elders, 9 of those elders were there in 2023 and knew fully that Warren Perry was a registered sex offender and that the pastor was bringing him in. So yes, Duke. It just does not make any sense to me. So I want us to watch this video. I want you guys to hear it for yourself. This is WPDE ABC News, and this is one of my local news stations. And this video really hits all the high points that I want to hit home with you guys today, because I know that when you see this video, you are going to be asking a lot of questions. So I know that, Ellen. Listen, you need to make sure you, and listen, that's why before we get started on this, I'm going to tell you one thing that I'm going to do. If you are just coming in, if you did not see the intro, this video is for 18 plus only. Mods, if you can drop a trigger warning, because the things that we talk about during this case is going to be disturbing, and it's not for children whatsoever. If you have your children in the background, it's probably best to put me on your ear pods, or maybe watch me at a later time when your kids aren't around, because I just don't think that it's appropriate for young kids to be listening to this. So I'm going to give us a content warning. We're going to jump right in. If I can have one of the mods drop fair use in the chat, and we're going to stop and start this video and listen to what ABC News put out today.
Warning. This episode contains content that may be disturbing or sensitive to listeners. Discretion is advised.
All right. Thank you for being here, Stitching. I hope that you are well. Hannah says, do my Sims children count? Playing The Sims and listening. Behave, Hannah. Behave over there on that Sims game. I'm not even going to say it. Michelle, hold me back. Don't get me started. I'm not going to make any comments about The Sims. I can't do it. Okay. All right, so we're going to play this video. This, again, is all credit to WPDE ABC 15, my local news station. A big shout out to them for covering this case locally. They have done an excellent job keeping us all informed. Let's hear what they had to say today about this case. If there's any problems with the volume, let me know in chat and I will adjust it.
A registered sex offender is accused of violating his probation by volunteering at Pawleys Island Community Church, where an elementary school, preschool, and daycare all operate on the same campus. Georgetown County investigators say their investigation into registered sex offender Warren Perry is now focused on more than just his alleged probation violation. They're also trying to determine who knew that he had access to children.
But the biggest thing we're working on right now is interviewing teachers, we're interviewing parents, and interviewing church officials, and finding out exactly who knew what, when did they know it, and what kind of exposure did the bad guy in this case have with these children.
And some people in the church's congregation and online have asked why the pastor, Don Williams, has not been charged for employing a sex offender. Today, I took that question to 15th Circuit Solicitor Jimmy Richardson.
And Jimmy Richardson is the circuit solicitor in our area. And I want you guys to make sure you're sitting down when you listen to this response, because I'm going to tell you that I cussed a little bit.
He said a pastor is a mandatory reporter, meaning he would be required to tell police of any abuse happening on his campus, and not doing so would be a crime. However, he wouldn't be required to inform people that a sexual offender is part of the church, and you can't be charged just for hiring someone who is.
Simply not telling everybody that a person is on the registry, that is not a crime.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me get back over here to my StreamYard. What? Not telling someone that you have endangered tons of children at your church, at the school, at the preschool, at the child care center. Y'all, they had an auction where kids, their parents could donate money into the auction to spend the day with him. Did you hear what I just said? There was an auction where parents paid money and kids could spend the day with different people, and a kid got to spend an entire day with him. Rubber Ramada, I need you to send me one of those squishy ducks so I can really squish it right now. Because right now, Jimmy Richardson, if I had a punching bag right now, I'd probably have to, I'm going to have to get me one for my desk right here so I can just, because that's really hard to listen to. So nonchalant, like, oh, that's not a crime. I bet if his kid attended that church, he wouldn't be saying that. Let's continue. Hang on, let me get back over here. All right. I'm going to take it back just a little bit because I think we are going to have to hear that again. Oh, he makes me so irritated.
Simply not telling everybody that a person is on the registry, that is not a crime. There may be some other crime violated, and there definitely could be some civil aspects out there, but there's no requirement for a mandatory reporter to tell everybody, hey, this person's on the registry.
Whoa. Jenny, we are all shocked at this very moment. Let me go over here to the chat because I got to see what some of y'all are saying. Stress duck incoming. I'm going to need it because, y'all, this is a lot. I might pop that duck. I'm sure of it. Look at Matthew. Y'all, this is a reoccurring theme here on the Grand Strand. That's what they call this area along Myrtle Beach, all the way from where I live on the north end, all the way down to Pawleys Island. They call this the Grand Strand. We have Yeah, Elizabeth L says, pay to have your kids harmed. Can you imagine putting your trust that a pastor of a church is going to allow this? In what world does that seem normal? Right? Michelle said, I don't need something to squeeze. I need something to throw. Absolutely. When I saw this today, I was like, oh my gosh. And he's just so nonchalant. Like Cindy said, that's like saying the 10 Commandments are just really good suggestions, in my honest opinion. Yeah. It is, I'm speechless. But let's get back over here to this video because Ginny is outraged and she's going to tell you why. So let me take it back just a tad bit.
Persons on the registry.
I'm shocked. I'm just shocked that they even allowed this to happen. I'm angry inside that this man was allowed to be around our children.
We are angry with you and with every other person in this community that is a member of the church, or that even if they're not a member of the church, the community is in an uproar.
Parents, community members, and residents all furious that a convicted sex offender, Warren Perry, was watching their children at Pawleys Island Community Church. This is not the first time a registered sex offender volunteered there.
I know y'all heard that, right? This is not the first time a registered sex offender volunteered there. Did you guys hear that? That's fine, Hannah. That's right, not the first time. Yeah, there was another person that was involved. And we're going to talk about that. His name is Trip Atkinson, and we actually got the records. I don't think I uploaded them to my StreamYard, but we can definitely go over there and look at them. I have to figure out what email it is. I may have to pull it from Discord. But that really happened. This guy was a youth pastor. Now, it ended up that he was found not guilty. And guess what he's doing right now, y'all? He's still in South Carolina, pastoring at another church. Okay.
Sex offender volunteered there. A lawsuit filed nearly 20 years ago claimed church leaders failed to protect minors after ignoring warning signs about former youth director Kenneth Trip Atkinson. The lawsuit alleges leaders didn't conduct a background check, nor did they remove Atkinson after concerns about his behavior with
I'm sorry, how do you get a job without getting a background check? Because any job that I've ever had with an employer, I had to have a drug screen and a background check, which is not a problem because I always passed. But that just seems a little shady because even at a church, if you are an employee of the church, that should be standard protocol, right? It's just as much a business as anything else. Because when you do that, it will automatically flag the fact that they would be a registered sex offender. Y'all let me know in the chat. True? Hey, Jason, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Sorry, I can't see the chat. I have to look at my phone. I really need to get me a phone stand. I think I have one in my room. I should get the dude to bring it to me, but he probably won't because he's downstairs. I'm upstairs. Yeah, stitching, same and even further checks because of Nick Mick. Yeah, and that's how Warren Perry originally got busted. And same thing with Trip. I mean, if you're going and applying for a job, your first time working for that company, like it seems like that would be standard protocol. My husband's job, he has to do a background check, drug screen, the whole 9 yards. I mean, that should be standard in a job, especially in a church. You know, This is wild, y'all.
Female youth members, and it says the church failed to warn families. Atkinson was later charged in 2005 with criminal sexual conduct involving a 13-year-old girl over an alleged 2002 assault. Both the criminal charge against Atkinson and the civil suit against the church were dropped. Now,
the charges and the civil suit was dropped. Isn't that interesting? This guy right here, Warren Perry, he lives in a very nice, prestigious neighborhood. He has money. And the pastor, Don Williams, and his wife, Ginny Williams, are his power of attorney over his finances. I'm getting all of the red flags. Like the red flags, I mean, it's literally like, you know what I mean? What? He's got tons of money and y'all are the power of attorney over his finances? And he's also volunteering at the church. It's starting to sound like a... Okay, let's continue before I get myself in trouble.
as the Warren Perry case remains under investigation, members want answers.
People want to say, well, no one was hurt. How do we know? What we do know is that he put hundreds of children at risk.
If you are truly sorry for what you did, you would never put yourself in a position to be around children.
Amen. Amen. But they can't stop themselves, which is why I do hope during this investigation, because the investigation is still ongoing. There have been 4 arrests, 3 are out of jail. Warren Perry remains in jail without bond. The pastor, the pastor's wife, and another church employee were arrested, and they have all bonded out, and I'm going to show you that after this video. But what about the elders? What about the 12 men? Yeah, they're all men that sit on the board. That's very common for a lot of the elders to be men. I grew up Quaker in the Quaker church. Women weren't allowed to be elders in the church. But 9 of those 12 were there in 2023 and had knowledge. Some of those board members have already resigned as well, along with the pastor and his wife and Niki Howard. But don't you think they should be held accountable too? Because this wasn't like the pastor made a decision and just kept it from everybody, just between him and Perry. There were actually multiple people that knew about it. And when staff from the school came to tell someone that they knew about Warren Perry, they were let go. They were terminated. What does that tell you? It just angers me.
Some question how he was even allowed to be around children as a convicted sex offender.
You got a probation officer that didn't know there was a school out here at his church or whatever, and ain't come out here to check his parolee.
Georgetown County should know good and well there's a school and a preschool and a child care daycare at that church. So also, I kind of blame the PPP, which is the Parole Pardon Board, because it sounds like to me that they weren't actually doing their job. What do you guys think? I mean, because if you're having to check in with your parole officer and then you say, hey, parole officer, I'm volunteering at the local church and blah, 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 blah. Don't you think that the parole officer would be like, you can't do that. That is against the rules and regulations. Like, that's a violation against that's a probation violation. see, something does not even make sense with this. Like, what are we actually doing here, y'all? I mean, this is so crazy. Yes, so nonchalantly. It's this is a lot for sure. Well, like I said, Sunday there wasn't a lot of people there, so some people are glad that people are protesting. Other church members don't think it's helpful for people to protest. But how else are we going to get the community's attention that, look, nobody said anything before, and they're just business as usual. They're just mad because it's bringing attention their way, but there needs to be attention. There needs to be focus. I really hope they get digital forensics off of every person they arrest in this case and check their computers, check their phones, check everything, because something is fucky. I'm telling you, I don't like it. Elizabeth said they have registry to check for SW and people education. They need to check registries for pastors. Well, I mean, I can't disagree with you at all. And Stitching says same, even further checks like with NCMEC. Yes, I agree. That Ellen says the state makes us do background checks every 5 years, and I don't work directly with kids. I'm not DCFS, thankfully. Telling you, this is... Michelle says, we own a septic company. We go to people's homes. I run background checks on everyone before they're hired. Cindy said, at the agency I worked at it as a social worker with families, all volunteers had to be fingerprinted and a local and state background check. Seems like in a church, that would be the most appropriate thing to do because, And Elizabeth said, yes, they do in social work in North Carolina as well. I'm glad to see we have so many wonderful people in this chat that have an understanding about why this is so important and why it matters. Because I have heard a couple of locals express that they don't think it should be the community's business about what the church is doing. And I thought, do you even go to church? Because now it makes me question you for even questioning that people are questioning this. Because don't you have kids? Don't you have grandkids? Wouldn't you be concerned? Michelle said there needs to be more arrested, and they are still investigating, and they have indicated that there will be possibly more arrest, which I'm thinking other people in the church that had knowledge that he had spent all of this time there. These lawsuits that are happening, y'all, it's bad. I can't wait to. Yes, I grew up. Yeah, my grandfather built churches as a Quaker. He built a lot of friends' churches. That's what he did for a living. He designed steeples, and he also designed stained glass to put in churches. And he's built Quaker churches all over North Carolina. But my family is Pennsylvania Dutch. Hence the name Duchess, because my family's Pennsylvania Dutch. Yeah. The Mennonites, the Amish, the Quakers, that was all of my family before they migrated to North Carolina in the 1700s. So, yeah, that's where the Dutch comes in. Not that I'm a Duchess like a princess or anything. It has nothing to do with that. It's my family's Pennsylvania Dutch. So, just a little tidbit of information. Yes, definitely a lack of due diligence. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, an auction to spend the day with him. Hey, Reese Jam, it's good to see you. Reese said, Duchess, hope you're doing good. Can't stay, so I'll catch the replay crew. Well, I'm so glad that you popped in. Look at that sweet little baby. I want me a wiener dog so bad, a little Dotson. I don't know if the Duke is listening, but he's probably going to come into chat and say, no, babe, we're not getting one. But I think Harley needs a friend, and I need a little dog. Hey, Abellis. I think I just saw you in the chat over here. When I'm sharing my screen, I can't really see, but I just popped over here. Hey, Abellis, it's good to see you. I hope you're doing good. Hey, Carl. You love watching the Amish farm? I love my Amish butter. Yeah, I love the Amish. Yes, see, small dog. Tell him, Michelle. Well, you have told him in person too, but he's probably watching his little show downstairs now, entertaining Harley. Anyway, let's get back to this video before I get even angrier. So
The protesters telling me they'll be here every weekend until something is done. But some in the congregation, while frustrated by the situation, thinking protesting isn't helping.
I believe that the parents in this situation need support, and I don't think their support is coming from people protesting outside of a place that they call home away from home.
New charges.
I'm not even sure what that means. What? Did any of that make sense to y'all? What she just said? Stitchin says, Lincoln's getting a brother. His name will be Abe, so I will have Abe Lincoln. I love that so much. I really need to get Harley a friend because she is about to drive me crazy. This woman makes no sense to me. Tiffany, do you have kids? I mean, I'm just curious because, oh, wait, child. Okay.
Home away from home.
New charges. Sheriff Carter Weaver Monday says his office has charged Pastor Don Williams, his wife, and Pawleys Island Christian Academy Director Niki Howard.
Since getting a tip last week, Georgetown deputies have been investigating everyone connected to the leadership at Pawleys Island Community Church. Sheriff Weaver showed a video of Pastor Don Williams when he was told about Perry being taken into custody last week and says it was, quote, simply not true after Williams said this.
If he ever was, he was not. I mean, it was not, he was not going into classrooms with mine.
These photos right here, along with numerous others, clearly show Mr. Perry in close proximity to the children. And who do you think allowed that?
Oh, my word.
This is sickening in and of itself, coupled with the video of just...
I'm literally going to throw up right now. And look at him in the background, just standing there all emotionless. Y'all, we have got to vote these people out of office because I'm literally livid over this. I mean, this guy is clearly upset, and I totally support him. This guy right here, what the hell?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Criminal charges announced for Pastor Williams, his wife Ginny Williams, and Director of PICA Niki Howard. You can see their charges on screen. All are charged with conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, and obstruction of justice.
Now, I was going to actually show you the charges that they have because Michelle, the wonderful, my best friend, Michelle, queen admin of the channel, she FOIA'd a bunch of different documents, and y'all, you would not believe the stuff that they sent us. But this actually sums it up right here. Pastor Don Williams, unlawfully placing a child at risk or willfully abandoning the child, conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, and obstruction with justice. And then we also have Ginny Williams, his wife, who is charged with conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. And I'm going to hop over here to my media because this actually goes in line with some of these clips that I have right here. There's Don Williams, where I pulled his. Let me see if I can transform this to the other side of the screen right here. I'm going to see if I can move this. Right here. Here we got Don, and this shows where he's bonded out. This is on the Vine app right here. So I'm going to save this one. And then right here, this is Ginny, and I'm going to transform this one so we can move her right here. And let's see, and then we've got Niki Howard. right there. See if I can transform that a little bit. Appreciate y'all being patient to let me shrink this down. Jennifer Nicole Howard, but she goes by Nikki. She's one of the people that was in charge of running the school and is also on the board. And she was fully aware of all of this taking place at the church. Now, after these three were arrested along with Warren Perry, Ginny Williams had to go back to custody on 7/24. I got this text message from South Carolina Vine on my phone. This is an actual text message right here. Let me see if I can transform it so I can move it on my screen. Hang on one second. Here we go. We'll move this right here just so you can see it in the center for right now. This was a text that I got just saying that she had got returned to custody. And a lot of people were questioning. She was already arrested. She posted bond. Why did she get rearrested? Well, it's because she picked up another charge, and I'm going to show you that right now. This was from the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Carter Weaver announced that Ginny Williams was picked up at 7:03 on the 24th that morning, and she was charged with unlawfully placing a child at risk or causing a child harm in the ongoing investigation of the Pawleys Island Community Church. This new charge at this date was the result of investigative findings which had not been verified last week, but are now confirmed through multiple witness statements. And then it goes on to say that the person that she acted in a supervisory role and that she is responsible for child's welfare and to engage in acts or omissions that present a substantial risk that a sexual offense will be committed against a child. Ginny Williams has been found to not only hold a supervisory role at the Pawleys Island Community Church, but to also hold such a role over the operations of the Pawleys Island Christian Academy. So therefore, Ginny Williams was rearrested for new charges on the 24th and booked into the Georgetown County Detention Center. And boy, there was some TikTok videos of people going out there and getting them making bond. And boy, they were giving them hell out there. Which made me feel good because somebody needs to give them hell. But of course, she posted bond and she is back out. And then, of course, last but not least, we have, let's see, I think we got Warren on here somewhere. There he is. Let me transform this and I can move that to the middle so you guys can see that a little bit better. See if I can shrink this down. There we go. And there's Warren Spencer Perry, age 70, and he is still in custody without bond. So I just wanted to make sure that I let you guys know that Ginny was actually arrested twice. Yeah. So apparently, you know, I just want to tell the solicitor somebody thinks it's important, right? Because the solicitor acted like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Well, it sounds like somebody's doing something down in Georgetown County. 70 years old, Stitchin. All right, let's take this back just a tad bit and moving forward.
I got Niki Howard. You can see their charges on screen. All are charged with conspiracy, criminal conspiracy, and obstruction of justice. Well, Pastor Williams and Howard are also being charged with unlawfully placing a child at risk or willfully abandoning the child.
This recklessness as exhibited in the video and lack of responsibility in the church's role to ensure a convicted sex offender is not allowed around minor children allowed for investigators to discover an abundance of evidence through sworn statements and search warrants.
Since Perry reportedly volunteered at the church for more than 6 years, I asked the sheriff if we could see a potential effort to change the way the sex offender registry works.
Did y'all just hear that? He volunteered at the church, y'all, for 6 years. I saw a couple of articles that said he had only worked at the church since 2023 as a volunteer. But what they didn't tell you is that Warren Perry actually worked at the church before that. And then he got busted in 2020 and arrested. Homeland Security was involved in this, guys, in his arrest. Homeland Security and the International Crimes Against Children came to his house. They took his computers, his phones. Yeah. So, wasn't 3 years, because some people are reporting he was only working at the church for 3 years. It is actually 6. I did talk to one of the locals because this is my community, and I just happen to know people that live in Pawleys Island, and they confirmed with me that he had been there since 2020. Moving forward.
He told me no.
The sex offender worked. Our part, the sheriff's.
I'm going to rewind that.
Church for more than 6 years. I asked the sheriff if we could see a potential effort to change the way the sex offender registry works. He told me no.
The sex offender worked. Our part, the sheriff's role in the sex offender registry worked. We maintain that registry.
15th Circuit Solicitor Jimmy Richardson also took to the mic, saying an arrest warrant is based on probable cause and everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But the solicitor's office will do their best to represent the community.
Parents filled seats in an auditorium at the Waccamaw Library tonight. They heard from counselors who work with children going through traumas. Counselor Kathy Redwine, who organized this group meeting, says she did it because the community is facing a crisis.
They went to this church because they believed in the pastor. So there is a huge sense of mistrust, betrayal, and acknowledging that that is the emotion that you're feeling. That begins the healing process.
While it's a situation that no parent wants to find themselves in, if something traumatic did happen to their child, counselors point out these warning signs.
Bedwetting, fear of touch, overly cleanness, bleeding, discharge. So the physical signs, the emotional behavior. Is there a change in sleeping habits, in eating routines, in being afraid to go to a certain place? With older kids, that may change.
Jamie Brown with the Children's Recovery Center tells me parents may even see more behavioral than physical responses. And Redwine says when talking to your children about it, don't expect for them to answer all your questions, but make sure they have a space to talk when they are ready.
It's very heavy. So if they talk about it for 2 minutes and then they run away and play, that's okay. Doesn't mean that they're ignoring you or they don't want to talk about it. It's just that they can't.
I agree with that, because that's got to be very difficult for a child to even process what any of that is like. And every child is different. Their response to something traumatic like that is going to be different. This just makes me so freaking mad. Because I'm like, how many other kids that we don't know about? I mean, 4 lawsuits popped up. Michelle, how many days since, like, we had the class action suit on July the 17th? And then there was a lawsuit that came out with a John Doe. And then I think the other 2, I think there was like 2 lawsuits that were filed within just hours of each other. Like one was filed at lunch and one was filed at like 4:44 on the same day. So it's heartbreaking, but it's important. And that's why if you know something that's going on, something doesn't seem right, it's better to say something and have it be checked out, because you could save a child's life. You could intervene in something terrible that's happening to a child. All right, let's start here.
Posted bond and are out of jail tonight.
Former pastor Don Williams, his wife Ginny Williams, former Academy Director Jennifer Niki Howard, they all face charges following allegations that a convicted sex offender volunteered at Pawleys Island Community Church and was allowed to be around children. All three resigned from their positions at the church days before being arrested. The sex offender, Warren Perry, was denied bond, and he does remain in custody tonight.
After authorities say Perry volunteered around children, community members, well, they're still left with questions.
ABC 15's Kara Risk has sifted through tons of documents today. She uncovered the role of the person who was tasked with supervising that offender. She joins us live in the studio with those details. So, Kara, what is the South Carolina Department of Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services? What's their role in this?
Jen, Andrew, comments like these are flooding in after church leadership has been charged in this case. Community members are asking, where was Perry's parole officer and what was their duty to ensure children's safety?
The SCDPPP's policy states that the department will implement an enhanced program for the supervision of sex offenders to reduce the likelihood of future sexual victimization. I dug through their policies to gain an understanding on who was watching over Perry's shoulder. We know last week, Pastor Don Williams claimed the county was aware of the school and was given a list of restrictions.
Did y'all hear that? This is why I brought up the PPP. The Parole, Probation, and Pardon Program. She went and dug into all of this. And then the pastor actually said that Georgetown County PPP knew that Warren Perry was volunteering at the church. And I'm like, how can that be? That is clearly a violation of his probation. He just flat out lied as if nobody was going to check. I mean, what are we dealing with right now?
I spoke directly with his probation officer. She informed me that Mr. Perry has not been complying with this condition of his probation. She also told me that when she confronted him about his violations, he acknowledged that he had violated those conditions. And that information was completely.
Do y'all hear that yelling? That's at the church. This is at a meeting that was called by the pastor. And let me tell you, there was almost a brawl. I want to take that back because I'm telling you what, if you hear these people right here, there was people getting up, screaming, hollering. There was even some cussing in church. Yes. And look at all these people standing up here. Is that the elders or is this the security team? Because I feel like any one of these people could have bum rushed them at any given minute. Because if I was a parent and something had happened to my child, we're just going to take in deep breaths right now. Because I'm telling you, I'm glad my child is 32 years old because I just cannot with this right now. So, all right, let's play this again. And just remember, this is being held at the church, and these are all the church members because he's having a talk to explain to them that, hey, it's okay because we knew about it. You've got to be kidding me. You're going to tell your members that you knew about it and act like everything's Charlie, Abel, Fox, Baker? I'm telling you what. You lucky somebody ain't already slapped you. That's what I'm saying.
Pastor Don Williams claimed the county was aware of the school and was given a list of restrictions.
I spoke directly with his probation officer. She informed me that Mr. Perry has not been complying with this condition of his probation. She also told me that when she confronted him about his violations, he acknowledged that he had violated those conditions. And that information was completely different from what Mr. Perry had repeatedly communicated to us over many months.
However, a report obtained from the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office last week says that Perry disclosed to deputies that he was a volunteer at PICC. The deputies claim he never advised the church also operated a school and daycare.
Oh, let me go back just a little second so we can get it back on that. This is interesting. Rubber Ramada says, let me be stupid, but we cannot open a bar as we're one block from a school, but they allowed this in a church. Okay, Jan. No, this is a lot, y'all. That's why I said if this becomes too mentally tasking and emotionally upsetting, and you have to dip out and come back and watch this later, or maybe just skip this, I completely understand, because this is a lot. But as you see here, and this is one of the reasons why, and mods, if you will just, make sure we share that fair use. This statement is very important. The report said Perry had previously disclosed to deputies that he was a volunteer at PICC, but deputies said he never advised the church also operated a school and daycare. Oh, how convenient that he left that out. What is even more interesting is that the sheriff's department knows. The county knows. They have to have a business license to operate the Christian Academy and the preschool. You can't just be starting a Christian Academy and a preschool without having the approval of the county. Okay. During a meeting at the church on Wednesday, Pastor Don Williams said authorities were aware Perry was volunteering on the campus and that Perry's conviction had been known within the church leadership right here for years. Oh, so only the leaders need to be aware of such a situation. Agreed. Oh, no. They have got this all backwards. Yes, it has to be accredited. I am sick to my stomach over this. And then my solicitor is over there saying, oh, well, it's not a crime, for mandated reporter to have to go around and tell everybody, oh, there's a registered sex offender volunteering at the church. I'm sorry, what? Does that even seem like a normal statement? Unbelievable. It's so disappointing. Hey, Harley, what you doing, puppy baby? Harley come to say hey, y'all. Harley is saying hey. She's trying to get in this chair. You can't get in this chair, puppy. I'm in my live stream room. I know you want to say hey. All right, I'll let you say hey for 1 second. Y'all, let's take a little intermission. And I'll let Harley say hey. Come here, baby. I hope her daddy's calling her. Oh, she's gone. She was going to put her on camera, but I just heard Dad call her downstairs. So, yeah, she knows that this upsets me. She's coming to check on me. So, but I think Daddy's occupying her now. I was going to let her say hey to y'all. This stuff boils my blood. I just, I don't even have words. He better have one because she'll give him. There's plenty of treats because Elizabeth Lander, that's in the building, sent a whole box of a variety of treats for Harley. And every time we give her one, we say, this is from Elizabeth. And she loves it. So thank you, Elizabeth L., for sending Harley little presents because she loves them so very much. All right, let's jump back into this. We're almost through this. But I feel like this is very important for you guys to understand the gravity of the things we're going to talk about. Because this little summary of, basically piecing this all together is going to help you to make sense of when we break down the timeline and why these things are important. And especially when we come to talk about the first lawsuit, which is the class action lawsuit that's asking for $25 million in damages. And then also the subsequent 3 lawsuits, which have John Doe's listed as the victim. And those are some very detailed civil lawsuits that we're going to read through and take a look at. And then we're going to talk about what those allegations mean, what they're expecting from the church, what they're expecting from the county, and the prayer for judgment, what they're asking for, because this is going to be a very interesting court case, and I'm definitely going to cover it when it does go to trial. So I'm sure, Duke, that she just worked you for treats. I'm sorry. Look, there's Elizabeth L. She is a good girl. She is a good girl. All right, so let's get back into this video.
Posed to deputies that he was a volunteer at PICC, but deputies claim he never advised the church also operated a school and daycare. When asked about an investigation into the parole officer during a press conference, the sheriff's office said this.
That'll be something for Triple P to review as far as their standards and see if their standard operating procedures were followed.
And an affidavit received says Perry failed to give truthful reports to his agents, stating he had no contact with minors or been in restricted areas. Specifically, the PPP points out his violations of conditions 4 and 5 on the standard sex offender conditions. Those state to refrain having contact with minors and refrain from working within 1,000 feet of minors.
Boom. Right there. This is part of his contract. I will not have any contact with a person, under the age of 18, except with the exception of my family, I think is what that says. This is all blurred out, but that is very interesting because here is part of that parole board contract right here. He will discuss contact. He knows he is not supposed to be within that right here. I know it's blurry, but I will not, I guess, reside or work within 1,000 feet of any area. It's really hard to see what it says by people under the age of 18. Playgrounds. I see that in there. Arcades. Swimming pools. Beaches. Shopping malls. I mean, they're getting pretty specific. That would definitely include the church. He knew exactly what he was doing. Okay, this was intentional. He knew exactly what he was doing. And you know who else knew what he was doing? Is the pastor and his wife. Because this isn't the first time that they've been into some mess with the law over sexual allegations, that somebody was arrested. And it wasn't, I'm not even just talking about Tripp. Because remember, this has happened before in the church with Don Williams. Yes. Oh no, but that's still not the only time Don Williams hasn't been involved in some mess. And I'm going to show you the proof from the Sun News, courtesy of 2009, when we get done with this video.
Also stated within their policies, each offender is rated on a scale to determine how much the parole officer checks in. On screen shows those levels, with the corresponding number of audits, treatment provider contacts, and device searches.
I reached out to the SCDPPPs to see how many check-ins his parole officer has had with him in the last 3 years. They told me to refer to a statement that says, in part, quote, answering detailed questions about his probationary period would not be prudent at this time. The Georgetown County Sheriff's Office has an active investigation underway, and our agency will not risk interfering by releasing information prematurely to anyone other than law enforcement. Also, Mr. Perry retains his constitutional right to due process as he faces an internal administrative hearing with SCDPPPs regarding the alleged violations.
And that is it in a nutshell for that video. I think it's very important, all of the things that she said. These are allegations, but Warren Perry was arrested and 2020, but he was actually charged and added to the sex offender registry in 2023. That is not an allegation. That is a fact. I'll show you something else that's a fact too. Let me get over here to my media assets here. Thank you for sharing those links, mods. Y'all, we got the best mods. We got the best mods ever. And Nightbot's been actually doing good. Thank you, Nightbot, for not like being crazy. Because Nightbot used to get crazy sometimes. So Nightbot's actually not been glitching much lately. Let me go over here and see what I can pull up here. Oh, that's right. This article right here. Haven elusive after assault. Everybody see that? This was a story that was written by Isaac Bailey back in 2009 in Pawleys Island. And it says schools' priorities clash with victims. Yep. On January the 28th, James Williams walked into a Georgetown County courtroom and pled guilty to sexually assaulting a 16-year-old girl who had considered him a friend. The next day, he was back on the basketball court with his Waccamaw High School teammates. Are you following what I'm saying here? Don't worry. If you're not, I'll make sure that we make it crystal clear. Now, at this time that this newspaper article came out, the now 17-year-old victim, well, she didn't attend the game. She was at her father's house because she didn't feel comfortable going somewhere that she would run into a schoolmate who had admitted in court he had committed an assault of a sexual nature on her. Her struggle to heal and find justice clashes with the school's struggle to balance the needs, the rights, and the privacy of student victims. Well, let me take these comments down for a minute so I can read this. And perpetrators of off-campus crime, a conflict that had been brewing since March the 3rd of 2009 assault. If I had known what would have happened, I wouldn't have even told, said the victim, who is not identified because the Sun News does not know the name of the sexual assault victims. But this article is very, very important. The person named in the article is James Williams. Now, as this article goes on, it talks about the school had already gone out of its way to take numerous appropriate and effective steps to minimize the impact Williams' presence would have on the victim, according to Randy Dozier, who at that time was the superintendent of Georgetown County School District. Punishment isn't the primary goal with students, school officials said, providing them skills they'll need to avoid making the same mistakes or more egregious ones later must be considered. Really, you don't consider the victim or how she feels or how that's going to affect how she does in school or how she might feel afraid. So when we go on down here to the rest of this article over here, Williams was 17 at the time of the assault, legally an adult in South Carolina. He was indicted on a felony charge of criminal sexual conduct of the 3rd degree, and he pled guilty to a misdemeanor assault and battery of high and aggravated nature with a finding of a sexually violent offense. Either charge could have earned him a maximum of a 10-year prison sentence. He and his father, Don Williams, pastor of Pawleys Island Community Church, declined comment for this article through their attorney, Thomas Britton. Not once was there a situation involving Donald Williams, but 2 times when Kenneth Tripp Atkinson became a youth pastor, and there became another situation within the actual church, not within the local high school. Both are egregious, just the same. But you would think that Mr. Williams would have seen that this is a concerning situation, and he would have consideration and care and have gained some sense of awareness and seen the need for protecting victims and minors from horrific behavior, such as displayed by his then 17-year-old son, who was considered an adult. Oh, and trust me, this article, it goes on about the day of the attack and the things that he did. Oh, it got into it. Yeah. I appreciate the person who sent me this article. This just talks about how they allowed him to go back and play athletic sports. And he wasn't even a letterman. He wasn't even on the top first string to play. And this talks about, these are the court documents, restrictions that his son had to do. He had to leave football practices and games immediately after they end. All of these things. But they did not remove him from school. And the victim, well, she became very depressed. And she started to fail. She failed out of her honors courses, and eventually she dropped out of school. And that is not fair to her at all. And you would think that there would have been some measure, some lesson that could have been learned in this situation. And the mother fought tooth and nail against Georgetown County school system for her daughter's rights in this situation. And it's absolutely terrifying that they took the side of the predator, the perpetrator, instead of the victim. And in this situation, I can't stand that. And, you know, the victim says the victim's mother said she is taking steps to address the board at that time. And that her daughter went on to say, you know, we were friends in middle school. We were close, the victim said. She had helped Williams deal with the death of a basketball player who drowned in a Sandy Island boating accident that claimed 3 lives. And she said that she viewed it as the biggest betrayal because he was supposed to be her friend and he took everything away, her purity. He made her distrust people and put her guard up. And that really bothered me because I'm seeing a pattern. Of course, these are all allegations, but I don't really think that we need a lot more information to see how this is all lining out. These are behaviors that have been happening since the early 2000s. So I have a lot of questions because there's a trend here. The protecting of people who are involved in acts of a sexual nature. You got Pastor Don Williams who's wanting to protect those people. I don't know, Stitching. It's this stuff is just mind blowing. Somebody else also sent me this. This was another post. This right here, the guy in the red shirt, that is Warren Perry. And in this photo, they're breaking ground on the multi-million-dollar expansion at Pawleys Island Church. See, Warren Perry is reportedly very rich. Apparently, the company that he retired from in California was sold for $50 billion. And where he lives is in a high, millionaire, prestigious neighborhood. And isn't it interesting that the pastor and his wife are power of attorney over his finances? Don't you think that this is all kind of strange? Because I don't find any of this normal. And the question that this person puts in here, did Perry buy access to children? I don't have the answer. That's why we got to wait it out in court. That's why we have to see these civil lawsuits through, because I want to see the evidence. Yes, we know he's been not just accused, but also found guilty of this crime in the past. But there's a whole nother thing that's going on in this church, y'all. I mean, I think it was some type of computer AI company that he worked for, that he retired from. And he came and bought a house, a big old house here. Interesting, isn't it? The things that I can't even wrap my head around. What else do I have here for you? I'm probably going to have to read some of these. Now, I did bring my newspaper. I went to the store. Let me lean down here. I got it on the floor. Y'all hear my chair squeaking. My husband bought me this new leather recliner, and when I lean back, you can hear it squeaking. I don't want you to think my chair's broke. I just probably need to put some WD-40 on it. Oh, my gosh. But this is the Sun News. This is my local newspaper. And you guys can see, this is on the front page of the newspaper. Pawleys Island church leaders to be charged in sex offender case. Right here on the front page. So, of course, I had to pick it up. I bought this paper on Wednesday, July 22nd, when I was out doing some shopping, and I happened to look down and see this local newspaper. And I was like, hey, I'm going to talk about that case. I need to grab this newspaper up. Because every day they have something on the headlines in the Sun News about this paper. Don't copyright strike me for showing your newspaper, the Sun News. Because I paid for it. It's mine. Elizabeth says, my friend who is an architect builds churches in South Carolina. She talks about a lot of corruption. There's a lot going on down here. She has also worked on redoing nails and schools. Oh, that's interesting. Abella said, these are the types who want the age of consent and marriage lowered to like 12. They want to go back to the dark ages. Oh, jails, not nails. I was going, she does redoing jails or nails? Oh, it's jails. Okay, that makes better sense. This stuff is crazy. It is. You're welcome, Rubber Ramada. I mean, I feel like this is the things that are important. You know, I'm not one to get into the hither and thither of all the argument that's going on YouTube. Like that's just not who I am. Like people are going to do what they want to do, and this is what's important to me, and this is what we do here on this channel. And so I have to stay focused on what I'm doing because it won't be long. Mom will be coming back in town. She'll be here for a couple more weeks, and I won't be able to go live. So I got to talk about these cases when I can. Now, I do want to show you a couple of these charges that we also got. And I'm going to have to pull this up on my phone because I'm not just Gen X, but I'm also have terrible eyesight. So I have to go over here and pull this up so I can make sure that I am reading you all of the details on this. This first case report number is dated back from Georgetown County Sheriff's Office, and this is one of the FOIAs that Michelle actually pulled for me. And this is the NCIC inquiry from the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office, and this was kind of like a about the location of Pawleys Island Christian Academy, and it was just looking up some information about exceptional clearances. And he talked about in 2022 at 12:30 p.m., there was a DSS intake form via email alleging there was an SA at that time. That's what this first document is. And then this second document to the right is just the second page of that document where it talks about who the victim is and that they are in Georgetown County. And according to this, the only information that I have on this second form, and it might actually be showing up on this one over here, but for this report that we're talking about that's involving the 2022 allegations from DSS, the John Doe is 4 years old. Deep breaths. And of course, it says on 8/1/2022, and this is on this next form here. Lots of redactions. This is how we got it. All of this blacked out stuff is not something I redacted. All of this is redacted by the police department. The narrative basically just says 8/1/2022 at 1:01 and 40 seconds p.m. on that date. Written by Officer Gino. At approximately 12:30 p.m., Lieutenant Gino received correspondence alleging a child-on-child SA, which occurred at the daycare at the Pawleys Island Christian Academy at 10304 Ocean Highway. And the CID and the victim's advocate was notified. And that's all the information that I have on that. Let me pop over here and see what you guys are saying. Not with this particular matter, stitching. Now, NCMEC and the Internet Crimes Against Children and the Homeland Security, that's who actually came to Mr. Perry's house back when he was originally arrested in 2020. That's how they caught him, with images on his computer on his laptop. Yeah. And it was reported to NCMEC. In this particular matter with the church, no, not that I'm aware of. But then again, I don't know what police are coordinating. You never know who they may be correlating with behind. I'm sure SLED could be involved at this point. And I'm sure they have notified the Internet Crimes Against Children just to let them know, because hopefully they're going to do digital forensics on all of their phones, all of their computers. I hope they take every device they have and search them thoroughly. Because I'm going to be honest, when I figured out that there were previous times that Pastor Williams had been involved in situations surrounding something like SA that he knew about, my first question was, how do we know he's not in a human trafficking situation? How do we know that there's not something going on? I mean, sometimes these things happen right out front in the community, and people have no idea that it's going on. Yes, I agree. It says, according to this report, it was a child on child, but it does not give the age of, it only gave the age of one of the children. So thank you, Rubber, for dropping all of these wonderful links. And Michelle, all of my mods, I really appreciate you guys being here. The lady that you spoke about adopted a kitten from me named Sebastian. I found him a day after Sebastian went missing. I remember you telling me about your kitty cat, Sebastian. I think that's great that she got him. Now, there was another report after this. This is another incident report, and I'm going to tell you what this one says. this incident report, this very first page, for some reason, whatever they sent Michelle, all it says is cyber tip, and it's got a number. You can't really see it, but right here in this little space, if you see, do you guys see my mouse? Right here in this space, nothing else is written on this particular agency ID incident report. There's not even a case number. There's no name, but this was actually sent. It says active, follow-up investigation, no, subject located, no, subject identified, no. Just says there's a cyber tip. And then when we go over to this incident report here, it has the incident type is sexual exploitation of a minor, 3rd degree, exploiting children. The victim is redacted. And it says April 1st of 2020. This would be Warren Perry's original incident report. The South Carolina Office of the Attorney General Internet Crimes Against Children, which is the ICAC section, received a cyber tip report 670-73839 from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC. That is what this tiny little piece that I'm circling right here says before you see all of this blacked out. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that I already know what it says underneath these little things right here. And I am not going to show it. And I cannot even tell you what it says because I will literally throw up on this live stream. It is horrible. And you can see all of the redactions in these reports here. I cannot even begin to tell you the things that are said in these reports. But you can see everything they have blacked out. They definitely did not want anybody to know what's in these reports. And Michelle, if there's anything that you pop in and say about that, because we've seen so many documents at this point, I figured there may be something, Michelle, that you wanted to say about these documents. And y'all, big shout out to Michelle, because obviously we don't have memberships right now. So, but these documents cost money. These documents are not cheap. You know, when I do my live streams, regardless if YouTube thinks I'm stealing other people's content, this is actually things that Michelle helps me to get, because normally my membership money, that's what you guys, people that are members, like that helps support me getting these documents and doing things like that. So if you want to support, my mods ask me if I would please share my Cash App because they want me to continue talking about these cases. And if you can support, that's great. If you can't, it's okay. Hopefully I'm going to be able to get my monetization back, because it helps me to be able to pay for all of these apps, to be able to do the research that it takes to actually cover these cases in depth and bring you factual information that I and Michelle research ourselves. I don't have anybody actually out here just sending me all of the information. Like Michelle and I work on these cases together, and you know, we pull all the FOIAs. Michelle does. She does a lot of legwork, let me tell you. And I just want to give her a shout out. Y'all, please give Michelle a round of applause, because she does so much to help me on this channel so that I can bring you guys all of the factual content here. And I love you, sis. And I really appreciate everything that you help me do. You're a real one. And I always appreciate you being here to support what we're doing. Yeah, they did. They did. They said that I was stealing other people's content and reusing it, which anybody who has watched my channel knows that, like, that's not true. I even make my own music because I didn't want to get copyright struck for, because I've had that before. So I just started just creating everything myself. I make my own intros, my own outros. I make my own graphics. So, sometimes I do share news articles because I want to give that factual sourcing information to you guys. But a lot of things that I share are things that we actually pay for. We actually FOIA a lot of these documents. Like when you go to newspapers.com to get things like this, like it costs money. These are old documents. You can't just go on the internet and pull up these documents. They are not available. You have to pay for those services to be able to access those documents because they're not readily available. And of course, we have probably over 80 pages of lawsuits that we're going to be reading through. So it's a lot of information to absorb. So we still have a lot to talk about. But this is this case in a nutshell. We have 4 people in this, what I consider to be a predator scandal, if I'm being honest. I mean, what do we actually have going on here? We have 4 people. Here's the predator. We got a pastor, his wife, an employee that was not only running the Christian Academy, but was also overseeing the child care and was on the board of the church. So she's got a double whammy against her for putting children in danger. But there's other people at the church, y'all, that knew what was going on. And he's out here trying to convince the church, oh, we knew about it and it was handled. Everything's okay. God forgave him for his sins. That can be true. Oh, you're welcome, sis. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of my mods and everything you do. And don't worry, because hubby got us a Powerball ticket for the $600 million Powerball ticket. So if I hit the Powerball, I'll make sure that I cut all of my mods a check. Run tell that. I had to say that. I'll make sure to give all of y'all a check for all of the hard work that y'all do. And plus y'all put up with me. And I appreciate y'all so very much. But this is all I've got for y'all this evening. I mean, we've been here for a while. We've been here for almost 2 hours. And, the timeline of the case, we're going to just hit the highlights of that. That's right. We're going to buy us a compound machine. We're going to run away. We're going to hit the highlights of the timeline because we want to be able to jump in to that lawsuit because I think that is going to be very important. So you've heard about this case from the news media standpoint. You've seen the charges. You've heard what I've told you has been going on here locally. The implications are, we talked about some of those, and we're going to talk about a lot of those implications that are involved when we discuss this class action lawsuit and the 3 John Doe civil allegation lawsuits that are coming right in behind that. But when we go over this timeline, if this is something you're really interested in, this is the time for you to get out your notepads and your pens because you're going to keep up with it. Because I was going to make some ChatGPT timelines. And let me just tell you, ChatGPT hated me for that. So I'm going to walk you through it the best that I can and explain it in a way that hopefully you guys can understand. So I made myself some notes. I'm going to try to work on the ChatGPT timeline so you guys can see it. It's just so much. And there's really not a great timeline that's out there that someone else has put together or that the news has put together, something that I can flash up on the screen and have you to look at a bullet point. I'm going to have to create something because it's pretty extensive. So walking this back, remember Warren Perry and the Pastor Don Williams case. This all began back in 2020 when Warren Spencer Perry committed that criminal offense involving that sexual exploitation of a minor, and that later resulted in that conviction. Now, the source on that is WPDE 15 News. And if you guys need to know what that source is, then I can drop that link in the chat. And anytime you guys need a link for anything to verify the information that I'm giving you guys, I will certainly hand you the link. So here's one of the links right now where you can find a lot of this information. So that is one of the articles right here. That was June 17th, 2026. That documents all of this information. So Perry is convicted of sexual exploitation of a minor in the 3rd degree, and he's placed on probation with conditions that restrict his contact with minors. That's also from the same article from WPDE. And as well, we also already saw the charges that we FOIA'd. So we know that this is authentic factual information. From 2023 to 2026, now we did find out that Perry was already working at the church in 2020 after his initial arrest. And in 2023, when he got that conviction, he stopped working for the church and began what became a volunteer situation at the church with Pawleys Island Community Church. And church leadership, which included Pastor Don Williams, later acknowledges that he and his wife, as well as Niki Howard and elders of the church, acknowledged that they knew about Perry's conviction and say restrictions had been put in place and that church members had nothing to worry about. This also comes from the same link that I dropped in the chat. On Sunday, July the 13th of 2026, okay, this is when the situation that we have, this is when it started off, July the 13th. A concerned parent contacted the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office after learning that Warren Perry is volunteering at the church and is associated with this Christian academy and preschool and childcare. And this complaint launches a criminal investigation. And this also is linked to that article that I dropped in chat. Now, on Tuesday, July the 14th, Warren Perry is arrested for violating the terms of his probation. And after investigators determined that he had contact or was in proximity to minors while volunteering, and as you saw in the video that we watched back at the beginning of the stream, there was actual people that had pictures of him with children. After he said he was never around children, they actually had evidence proving that he lied. It's not an accusation when you've got him and the proof is in the pudding in these pictures. The South Carolina Probation, Parole, and Pardon Services also became involved on Tuesday, July the 14th of 2026. Now, the very next day, on Wednesday, July the 15th, Pastor Don Williams held a highly emotional meeting, which we saw a clip of in that video, with his congregation. That's where he was wearing the orange shirt, which was, looked like he was preparing for his stint in prison already. And he confirmed that church leadership, and that does include the 12 elders, knew Perry was a registered sex offender. Hey, Flies on the Coleslaw, it's good to see you, love. I hope you're good. The parents also confronted the church leaders at this meeting, as well as the pastor, demanding answers about why they were never told, because their kids attend this school and this church. Now, fast forward on to Friday, July the 17th. That is when Don Williams, Ginny Williams, and Academy Director Niki Howard announced that they are stepping down from their leadership positions at the church. And of course, it was on Friday that news organizations began reporting additional details from investigative documents that were released. And that a lot of that was released by WMBF News. And I've got that link. The document that I'm going to drop in chat, the name of that article from WMBF News, the title is Docs. Students frequently interacted with sex offender who volunteered at Pawleys Island Church. So I'm going to drop that link in chat right now so you guys can see that one. See, I have all of this, but can you imagine me trying to put all this on a thumbnail? I would have 100 thumbnails at this point, but I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try to see if I can work it out. Now, if we fast forward to the next day on Saturday, July the 18th of 2026, that is when the civil lawsuits began being filed against the church and the school on behalf of the families. On July the 18th, we actually saw that civil class action lawsuit that didn't just name individuals, but it actually named the church and the school as, you know, the overall defendants in this case. And of course, in the following days after that, on the 21st of July, we subsequently saw 3 more lawsuits get filed in the same day. And you can actually read about that in a couple of different articles. One of them that I'm going to leave you with right here is WCIV TV, which is ABC News. Also, I'm going to drop that. That will have information in there for you as well. Now, we're jumping ahead to Monday, July the 20th. So if you've got your pads and your pens, make sure you're checking all of this off. Monday the 20th, Georgetown County Sheriff Carter Weaver announces those criminal charges. The search warrants are executed. Charges are filed against Warren Perry, former Pastor Don Williams, Ginny Williams, and Jennifer Niki Howard. Authorities allege there was an effort to conceal Warren Perry's access to children. That was on Monday, July the 20th. Like, this is pretty serious. Charges alleging an effort to conceal his access to children. Let that sink in. Jump forward to Tuesday, July the 21st of 2026. All 4 defendants appeared in court. Bond was denied for Warren Perry, and he is still incarcerated in Georgetown County. Don Williams faces additional charges of unlawfully placing a child at risk, along with obstruction and conspiracy. Now, of course, he and his wife and Niki Howard all posted bond. Ginny was rearrested for additional charges, and then she posted bond again for the second time. Public attention at this point begins to intensify, not just statewide, but it begins to spread along the East Coast. And I'm sure there are people all over the United States who are well aware of this case. And I can't believe it hadn't been national news yet, but I'm sure that it will be before it's over with. Now we have multiple lawsuits that are pending. We have 4 total. The criminal investigation remains active, and investigators are continuing to gather evidence. They are interviewing witnesses, and Georgetown County Sheriff's Department has stated publicly on their Facebook page that they foresee that there may be more arrests in the coming days as their investigation continues into what's going on with this situation with Warren Perry at the church. And this is why it's very important, because this episode is meant to walk you from Perry's original offense through his involvement with the church, the parents' complaint, how this investigation happened, this congregation meeting, the resignation, the beginning of the lawsuits, and, these arrests and them bonding out. This is a whole lot deeper. This isn't like I made a mistake and allowed a sex offender to volunteer at the church because I didn't know better. I don't feel like this is that situation, especially when you're coupled with the fact that Don Williams had a son that pled guilty to sexually assaulting another female in his school and was allowed to continue in school. And then also there was another youth pastor that was supposedly having inappropriate behavior with minors at the church. He was a youth pastor. I'm seeing a trend in behaviors and what people are willing to accept and look over. And this is not okay, not in my community. And I have to use my voice to speak up about it because we're not going to stand for it. And I'm hoping, I don't know when Mom is coming back down. If she does come, if she doesn't come down on Sunday, I'm going to try to ride down to Pawleys Island Church and see if I can get some live stream footage of the people out there protesting. And maybe we will talk to some of the people who were out there protesting and hear from them firsthand why they're actually out there protesting and what they're hoping to accomplish by being out there to share awareness. I would really like to hear what the people in the community are thinking about this right now. Elizabeth said, I have a friend in Georgetown. She is a teacher, and I'm going to send her your stream. Please do. And if she knows anything about this case or has any information, tell her to reach out and let us know, because I'm sure that they are hearing a lot about this case. And we've got to stay on top of this, because we're not going to allow predators to be in this community as advocates. And we damn sure shouldn't be allowing predators in churches having access to kids in schools and just violating their probation, and the PPP board not doing anything about it, the pastor not standing up for what's right and informing his flock. I mean, this is egregious on so many levels. The trust is broken. But I'm seeing it every day. I'm seeing doctors, lawyers, judges, police officers, people in places of authority that are out here hurting children. And that's why it's so important. If you see something, say something, because you could save a child's life. You could protect a child from being hurt physically, mentally, emotionally, and sexually. If you know a child that could be in danger, please use the resources that these moderators have dropped in chat to be able to help someone that maybe you know that needs help. Because we have to stand up and say something. We have to do something. We have to speak out about this. And I hope you guys will like this stream. I hope you guys will share this out to your friends, to your families, to your neighbors, and pass the word along. Do you know that I still have a couple of neighbors that don't believe that child sex trafficking is real? They don't believe human trafficking is real. They think that is a plot of a movie that is on Netflix. And that is mind-boggling to me, that people actually think that this is not real. There are women, men, and children that are trafficked daily in this country and probably around the world. And people think because they don't know about it, they don't see it firsthand, that it must not be real, that it's not happening. And that's not the case. We have to educate our friends. We have to educate our family. We have to educate our neighbors that this is a serious issue, and that this isn't something that I have had people say, oh, this is just something that happens in California. This is just something that happens in New York. No, This happens in every state in the United States. It happens in Mexico. It happens in Canada. It happens all across the world. And just because you've not had a personal experience with it doesn't mean that it isn't real, because the victims are real and they're suffering the real consequences of what these people have done to them. And it makes me sick. And we're always going to stand up for what's true and what's right on this channel. So we'll be back on Wednesday. I'm going to try to get some more timeline information. I'm working on some more graphics as we speak. But please do remember to join us on Wednesday for part 2 of Saints and Sinners. And I'm going to get over here and share this thumbnail again. This is the Saints and Sinners thumbnail, Sanctuary Under Scrutiny. And we will be having episode 2, where we are actually going to cover the first 2 lawsuits, the class action lawsuit and the first John Doe case. I will be sharing every single page of that lawsuit so you can see it for yourself. And we are going to read through all of the lawsuits, and we're going to see exactly what these allegations are. We're going to see what evidence, what information that these lawsuits have, if they're asking for prayer for judgment, what the financial ramifications are, because some of these are pretty lengthy, and I think you're going to be pretty shocked to see some of the things that are listed in these lawsuits. So this is just a little True Crime Monday with the OG Duchess here on Dutch Girl Podcast, where we talk about facts and we discuss. You're allowed to have your opinions. We want you to have your opinions. What we don't want is for you to go doxing people and go after families and go real life on people, because there is a difference between factual information. There's a difference between allegations, and there's a difference between having your own opinion. It doesn't necessarily make it true, which is why we have to wait for this to go to court. We have to see how it pans out. So I like to give you guys those factual court documents, because I want you to see, what I can actually prove, because receipts matter. I don't want to just tell you information that I just made up, because what good is that? Like, this stuff is really happening in my community. These are real citizens in my community that are affected. These children, I can't fathom. Good Lord, somebody's racing across the bridge right now. I can't fathom what these kids may have, what they've seen, what they have been put through. But I'm telling you, after I saw that one document about what Warren Perry was involved in, and also Tripp Atkinson, because what you guys see that's blanked out, well, Michelle Macklin and I both know what's behind some of that. And I'm telling you guys, it is absolutely horrifying what's been done. And we can never turn a blind eye to that. So I hope you guys have an amazing night. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate all the moderators. Thank you, Rubber Ramada. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Elizabeth L., for being here. All of my other mods that were here earlier in the chat, you may still be listening in the bushes. All of my members that are on pause, I see you out there. I know who my members are. Just hang tight with me. Hopefully we'll be back in action come September. And, if they don't give my monetization back, well, we're still going to be doing the damn thing over here. It's just, we have a lot to talk about. Oh, there's Mustang coming back in. Hey, Mustang, I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for just joining me where we have to talk about really difficult things sometimes. It's not easy to discuss these cases. Some of these things are really hard to hear, but these are the things that matter to me. This was the reason why I created my channel, because I wanted to be a voice for my own community. I make and design billboards. I make missing flyers for people in my community. And that's where I actually started doing advocacy work before I ever had a YouTube channel. It was just that somebody said, you're already doing this in real life. Why don't you make a YouTube channel and tell people about what you're actually doing in your community? And that's how I started my channel 4.5 years ago, is just bringing to you guys what I'm actually doing here in my real life, in my community. Because it takes a village to protect these kids. And that's what we're going to keep doing. So you're welcome, Abellis, and I appreciate you being a member and supporting, and I'm so sorry about the memberships being paused. And I appreciate Matthew. Matthew's another great advocate for Micah Miller, and I've met Matthew in person, and he is a wonderful guy. And Matthew, I appreciate that you come over and support me here. And I hope I get to see you again soon. Maybe I'll come out there when you guys are out there one Sunday. You'll have to message me. I'll try to coordinate that. And Stitching, all of you guys, thank you so much for coming over to support. Don't forget to hit the like and share it out for community awareness, because that's what we're about here. We're about sharing factual awareness and just staying in our lane. Because other than that,
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And that's just the way that it plays out. So I hope you guys have a fantastic night, and that you'll be back to join us on Wednesday for episode 2 in this series, where we're going to talk about the lawsuit number 1 and number 2. And I look forward to seeing you guys then. So otherwise, take care of yourself on these YouTube streets, and I'll catch you later. Take care. Bye, y'all.